Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Aggressors, Ancient Rome, and of course we're playing as the Ptolemaic Empire. So let's continue this. Okay, these guys have fully moved. We're back from slight break and playing. Here they are. Okay. I think we're about ready to have their turn, but I just want to make sure that we... Yeah, threaten their flank. We're doing what we can here. They're building roads. They're moving back from starvation.
Yes!
Okay, I think yes. Like I thought, it's time for their turn. Don't know what the AI is thinking about when they just move units around. Now here, of course, there's, you know, potential enemy threats and things. Now, I don't know about you, but I would rather see a, you know, not a one-for-one thing, but a group of, say, hoplites instead of one giant hoplite, or a group of these skirmisher guys, you know, like a block of 6 or 8, and maybe the numbers in there instead of the bloodiness would sort of tell you the current strength of the units. So you can see maybe, I don't know, 12 might be sort of like max, and you know, it looks like they've taken my unit. My nomads have deserted me. Okay, do we want to do paved roads? Yes, we want to do paved roads. Paving, okay. Oh, wait a minute. No, we oh. Oh, yes. Click on that. Okay. Okay, trade proposal. Roman Republic. Gold. Well, we could use gold. Stone, we don't really need. Influence is fine. Wood, okay. We're sort of like wanting to give up, but iron ore and coal. Okay, well. People. Okay, well we could do one. No, they're doing a lot. We're gonna no. Got a lot of that from taking Antioch. So I'm not going to give it all away right now. Trade was accepted. Very good. Yeah, cohort deserted. Okay, so we've lost them. Come back here, probably because they were starving. Now.
Yes!
Or maybe just spies or something, I don't know. I'm sure there's nuances to this game that I don't get. So don't take this as a definitive expert playthrough. This is me sort of learning it. Something beyond knowing just the most basic elements.
Yes.
Victory, good.
Yes.
These guys. Okay, we can't. Insufficient movement points to self-heal. Equal chances. No, we're gonna let them hang out there. Antioch. Let's 74, yeah, that's why we have a lot, and it's gonna eat into it. And 44, that's why we didn't want to trade too much iron away. Yeah, I think we might be able to hold that long enough to make it worthwhile. Okay, well. They're building that road, okay. Should feed us though. Trading. Yeah. No. No. Okay, we're gonna, I don't want to spend all of that just yet here. Civil service. We don't need uprisings and revolts. Mentioning that, let's see, way out here. Yeah, we'll do that. They already have civil service. These guys already have it? Yeah. Not quite sure why Bunto is doing so badly. We've got civil service. What might else we... No, I think we'll just leave this alone. Okay, let's see how we do. presume they walked off onto a ship and not just into the sea.
Are you ready?
There goes those traders. Good going, Athens. Okay, it was rejected. I figured they probably would. Has canceled all treaties. Okay. No ongoing conversations. Caravan attacked by Carthage. Caravan by Seleucid Empire. Seleucid Empire. Okay, let's come up here. Victorious, very good. Yes. And victory, very good. Very good. Okay. Boy, they're bloodied up. Okay, we want to see about building a temple. We can't do it here because we need a bridge. That's right, and I thought so. Be build route. Okay. So you're going to be building that. Okay, you're still building your route. So come up here. Keep that from bad things happening to them. The troops here, let's another round of that. You come to here and then to here. We're gonna see about collecting them next turn. Blacksmith, which is here. That needs. Okay, we can afford all of that. Obviously, we don't have that yet, but that's a yet. Now, here we have this. We can produce, yeah, galley, iron, yeah. I think I want to spend that. I'm sorely lacking a navy. And the Ptolemaic Empire was one of the major naval powers. Don't do that too much here, but talked a lot about, you know, and I will talk a little bit about this here. I don't know how many of you are my core audience versus other new people, but global warming. And I know Nick, well, scientists say I'm going to go with them until I get better. Well, and scientists say settled science. It's settled science. Global warming is settled science. That's very interesting because out of all of the scientific fields known to man, I mean, literally everyone from like marine biology to theoretical physics to every single scientific field. Not one of them is settled, except for global warming. It's a settled science. That's interesting. Now, you're probably going to go, yeah, gamer, you're just a denier. No, I'm not. I'm a skeptic at least. And I don't think globally man has any significant impact upon overall temperatures. Sure, we can pollute the Mediterranean or something, no doubt. You know. And all of the retreat in the north and opening up the Northwest Passage and things like that to shipping around the Arctic is somewhat, I understand, and I'm not an expert on it, is being counterbalanced by an significantly huge increase in the amount of ice in the Antarctic. So is it a shift from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere? I don't know. I've speculated overall solar activity. Now some people are, oh well, I don't know if solar activity, and we don't have good long-term measurements over that because the sun's not been very active. I'm not talking about solar flares or sunspots or other things. I'm just talking about for the levels of the sun, but may have an effect here. A minute changing on the overall output of energy, so heat. I don't know, and of course other things could be shifts in ocean currents and various things. Okay, and because back here this time the world was rather warm. During the Dark Ages the world gets colder. During the Middle Ages the world gets warmer. During the Renaissance, the world gets colder, and I know I've talked about this in some of the evidence that I have. Though we don't have good temperatures, because they didn't have even mercury temperature gauges, but we can have historical evidence of growth of good wine-growing grapes in northern England and other things like that. So we have physical evidence. And so it gets colder in the Renaissance, and in the late 18th century, it's starting to warm up again. I believe we are sort of at a sort of warm peak right now, and it may get a bit warmer overall, at least in the northern hemisphere. So this is all of the stuff and all the things I know about are in the northern hemisphere. I have no idea what's going on at these same time periods in the southern hemisphere. Most humanity lives in the northern hemisphere to this day, and much more so back then, because all you have is part of South America, part of Africa, and nearly empty Australia, just because it's not that there weren't people there, it's just very dry, so the bush people the Aborigines, or however you want to call them, don't have a lot of water. And then obviously you have more water in like New Zealand, so but still the populations down there are minute compared to the northern hemisphere. But I do know man does have local, or maybe it depends on how much you go, regional influence on whether it's temperature or the local and I don't mean weather as in how hard the wind's blowing, but maybe a bit, but the local environmental change impact. And it definitely does, because Ptolemaic, and this is what sort of brought this up, Ptolemy, and if you remember the movie Cleopatra, and there's been several versions, but the best, most famous is starring Elizabeth Taylor. The second best one dealing with that whole thing is I guess it's Caesar and Cleopatra, starring Vivian Leigh and the guy who plays the original Invisible Man, and also plays the police inspector in Casablanca movie. Claude Rains, that's it, Claude Rains, as playing as Caesar. Vivian Leigh, of course, is playing as Cleopatra. But you see in the Elizabeth Taylor movie how she builds a big navy. Well, the Ptolemies several times build a big navy, and a lot of it comes from Cyprus, because Cyprus is where we get the word, or is named after, copper, because copper was a big thing on Cyprus. But it also was known for its trees, and particularly good trees for building ships. Well, if you know anything about, and you can do Google Earth or whatever, know anything about Cyprus now, it's very poorly tree covered. It's very poor. It has severe water problems. I think that's partially just because of the lack of trees and other things, that it doesn't hold and retain water. And I do believe locally, very much the evidence is, because you don't have the trees, it's warmer there, because the trees give lots of shade, and it also cuts down on the breeze. So breeze can cool, but breeze can also take away the cool air as well. I don't know quite, what temperatures coming off of the Mediterranean coming in versus air cooling in the shade. A lot of stuff that I don't think anybody has any settled science over, just how, if you cover Cyprus in trees, is it going to be, still get some offshore breeze, obviously a lot of stuff going on there. But that is an ancient world situation in which they cut down lots and lots of trees to build Cleopatra's navies, because Egypt, as you might know, is not known for its trees. One, of course, is, this is sort of not deceptive, because this is river delta here, but this is known for its flooding, and I'm sure it had trees, because there was lots of wood built in those, with those stone, and mud brick houses. You still have roof beams and whatnot. There's lots of wood, but it because of the flooding, trees generally don't like to be flooded. And I say generally because you get trees and mangroves and other sorts of swampy type condition, stuff. But a lot of the tree types don't like flooding, and to grow, a lot of the big hardwoods, I don't believe, like flooding. So you have that situation, and then of course you get out of the sort of flood zone, you get into desert, and it's sort of a bit of an extreme environment. So they needed to get their trees or their lumber in other places as well. And of course, up here in Sidon, Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon still use a tree as their symbol, and which have been not so much recently. See, this is I don't know in the last, say, 20 or 30 years or last 50 years how much cutting down of the forests of Lebanon. I'm sure it happens, but I don't. And of course, in Lebanon, there's been since 1975 basically an ongoing civil war that sort of stopped for a few years, but is, I would sort of say, back on with Syria messing with things, but not back on as heavy as it could be. So with, a civil war and people, trying to survive, they do things, but it's not as, I think most of the cutting down the cedars of Lebanon was, the Renaissance and before and whatnot, not a recent industrialization of production. Doesn't mean bad things for the environment, because the I believe myth, or the view that everybody seems to have, is that consumption is the bad thing, where I would see not consumption, but how are we looking at this? Efficiency of consumption. Are you mining coal or oil, which burns cleaner than coal, generally speaking? Are you doing that, or are you cutting down, for heat? And are you cutting down wood from trees, obviously, or bushes or other sorts of, but that kind of plant growth for your heat? And then the question is, are you cooking with that on an open fire, or are you cooking with that on a stove? For a while, I don't watch too much, but they're I think it's still going on, a weekly show on YouTube put out by the Bhutan, if you know where that is, in north of sort of India, and between India and China, small country up there. An English weekly thing, Bhutan News, the news channel in English. Obviously, they do daily news in Bhutanese. One of the things that because it's still much of the country is without electricity, and even places that are getting electricity still rely for all their cooking needs on wood. And so if you have an open fire, or if you have a sort of simple semi-brick stove, you need a lot more wood to cook the same amount of food daily, in the same cooking manner, same set of food that you're producing, as opposed to a metal stove that's, for us in the industrialized world, fairly simple to make. It's just the efficient use of the heat. If it's just like in an open fire, a lot of the heat isn't concentrated on the food. It's just sort of wasted. And if your buildings are sort of drafty and whatever else, the heat that radiates out gets taken out. But if you put it into a metal stove, and they talk about how it's like this is years, 2 or 3 years ago when I saw this thing, so I'm probably getting it wrong, but it's like going down to a quarter or maybe just a third of the wood daily use to need. So much of the heat is escaping to be able to cook on, and they're able to use less wood. But that stove, because Bhutan, even at the hot, there's Bhutan that's actually part of Bhutan is low altitude, but most of it's very high altitude, some extreme valleys and situations. So a lot of these people live in very high altitude areas. So even in summer, particularly at night, it's pretty cool or cold, and in winter it's snow and whatnot, all the time. So these people need a lot of heat, but the metal stove will still radiate out heat to keep the home warm, but you're not overusing wood for your cooking needs. And this is just using, because shipping, because a lot of Bhutan doesn't even have roads to it. Literally, you got to use pack animals to get into parts of it, and we're very much working in, when about a year and a half ago, when I was seeing the report, they had gotten some helicopters into Bhutan to be able to get around to places, and all of the pilots were foreigners, but they had, I think it was in Canada, some Bhutanese that were being trained as pilots to eventually take over for the foreign pilots flying, to be able to get to some of these. And I'm not saying remote as in way off regions. I mean just 2 valleys over, that's a large population center that there's just no one's ever built roads, for quick travel within it, medical emergencies, plus, and this sort of government subsidized Yeah, sort of the emerging middle class could, get on and get a not like a daily to work and back and forth, but, a ride out for a week's stay with the relatives in the, other valley or something, and then come back or whatever. They're, getting some of that going. So this is, a part of the world, so that you are more efficiently using your resources. So the idea that the industrialized world, generally speaking, the modern post-World War II industrialized world, pollutes less per person than the unindustrialized world, because the unindustrialized world uses open fires that produce bad smoke and things like that. And if you look at in China, which is industrializing, but their pollution, especially in northern China, is outrageously bad, and they're still industrializing and coming through the stages. So the mere fact that the West uses and consumes so much more stuff, it is not a zero-sum game, and a lot of it, of course, can be recycled and reused. But there, it's a cost-effective thing, and just as the cost, they're able to keep the cost down because supply of resources is so cheap. And so, yeah, a man affects the environment, like in Cyprus here. And Cyprus is still in a really bad way because half of it is occupied basically by Turkey. And Turkey is behaving badly and more badly in the world, and so reunification is looking badly. It's technically a puppet government, but it's directly ruled by Turkey, the northern sort of, or the northeastern sort of half of the country, and that is very much causing troubles for the Cypriots. And the border is a bit funny because of where the Cypriots, because it was all Cypriot controlled until the Turkic army invades. It wasn't a local uprising, where they were holding out, including being supported sort of by the British, who had some bases there, but they were sort of distracted. But so they're not able to do a unified island-wide plan because of that. So it's really sort of a problem. Okay, well, let's... okay, I think we are... ready? Okay, okay, they... Okay, that'll be next turn. So let's end the turn here. This is the problem with modern science. It's all modern, meaning it's recent. And you don't have scientific measurements or abilities in the ancient world. And so, or in the just recent past. And a lot of the more recent
Are you ready?
Scientific research in the last, say, 20 or 30 years is being done with newer and more precise measuring tools. And so they don't even have good data. They have imprecise data, and then they have good data now. And that old data, had it been done with better tools, may have different results. And so we don't really know some things like that. Okay, they're the ones that were rating our thing. Okay, trade proposals, Sparta. Okay, at least they're not asking for iron, which we are in short supply, but we can give you some coal. They're offering iron, good. We can definitely give you wheat. And yeah, we can give you one of those. So that's 5, 6, 7 for 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, okay, let's see if they'll take that. Okay, oh boy, they're winning a lot. Our offer, okay, man, they're offering a lot of wooden things. Okay, and we have lots and lots of people, so I think we can do that. And but no, oh, we can do one more. Okay, take out there. People, okay, you guys, we are going to, because I want to, do that, heal you up. You guys get on board the boat. Boat comes here. That's good. Okay. Antioch. They have trading. Let's see, if we were to build that, that would help. That would help. We can afford that. We can afford that. Stockade, we could afford it, but that's going to be more expensive. I'm more worried. 3 turns, 3 turns. More worried about an uprising or something right now, because we've really got the these guys on the run, and we've got reinforcements coming. Okay, I know we are running out of road there. Site needs some better food, I think, or something. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want you. Where did I get? Okay. These guys. Let's now move these guys forward. There we go. Hopefully we can do that well and effectively. We're gonna take that soon, so blacksmith, I want to repair it. Why am I not able to repair it? Or we already are repairing it, maybe. Ink damage blacksmith. Not sure though. Okay, used up a lot of our money on some various improvements. Trading, what could we do here? Okay, well, I think we're going to end the episode here. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And, of course, I love hearing from you. So please post questions, comments, suggestions, tips. See you next time for more historical gaming.